Hello, hello, hello. I believe we are now live on the internet. Can anybody actually hear us? Because I have no idea if I am any good at actually setting up streams. And while we give chat a couple of minutes to try and tell us whether or not I can do my job, um, Colin, do you want to go ahead and try and introduce yourself and we'll see if we've got massive amounts of feedback again?
Well, hello, my name is Colin. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons for about 5 years now. Of that 5 years, I've DM'd for 3 years. Uh, DM'd quite a couple, just two or so campaigns. One failed campaign. Scheduling is always a nightmare, and quite a lot of one shots here and there. Looking forward to having some fun here.
Brilliant. So another very experienced DM, which is sort of what we're looking for the channel. The whole point of the channel, for those that are new that maybe don't know, is that this is going to be a DM challenge stream. So every week we're going to get a brand new dungeon master who's going to run a one shot for about 2 hours. They're then going to get scored by myself, Colin, and the others, as well as the chat, who are going to score on sort of how well they liked it. We're going to be a little bit more focused on the sort of nitty gritty, sort of the mechanics and the role playing and the how well they manage the game. But the chat's just going to be straight up. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you enjoy it? Was it fun? The winners, well, the four best DMs will then go into a final, and the final, your grand prize is an actual square foot of land in Scotland on an estate where they're going to plant a tree, and you will get a certificate and a lovely ability to call yourself, because of a weird loophole of Scottish law, you'll be able to call yourself a lord or lady for life because you own a piece of land in Scotland. It's all part of a heritage charity trust here in the United Kingdom, and that is the grand prize we offer. Throwing down the gauntlet to any DMs out there that might be watching. You can legitimately call yourself a lord or lady for life if you win. So please, please turn up. Put in your papers. I'm going to put a link into our link tree, which has all of our stuff on it. If I can remember how to do this, copy that, put it in here. Hello, 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 and welcome. And that is our link tree. That's got our Discord, it's got our Twitter, and I think it's even got our TikTok on there, which I created this afternoon for no particular reason. And please go on there, get ready on the. If you're a DM, you fancy becoming a lord or lady of Scotland for life, and being able to introduce yourself as the Lord such and such or the Lady such and such, please come on board. So, Colin, are you ready to see if I can actually manage to run a stream and have a look at some character building?
This should be fun.
This should be fun, so we'll see if we can manage it. Here we go. Who'd have thought it that I can actually
Who'd have thought?
press the correct buttons? This is I'll level with you, chat. I've been setting this up for about 8 hours today, so that's how long this has taken me. But I think it's pretty much there and working. So, Colin, do you want to take us through what your initial thoughts are for the character, and then we can go through the building.
Yeah, so I came in as the kind of last addition to the party, and there was a need for a sort of caster support role. We got a couple heavy hitters, and then we have a cleric, so we need someone that could, debuff, buff, all that fun stuff. Try to balance it out, give us some utility. And I thought, what better support role than Bard? Bard is super fun to play, has so much utility, can just really do a lot of different amazing things. So I started creating him from that idea. And his name is Ontarias. It just popped into my head just randomly, as all of my names do. And as soon as it popped in the head, that was it.
It gets a bit weird like that, doesn't it, with character creation, that you just sort of you have an idea in your head, and then suddenly this idea goes of like, okay, that's the character I'm going to create, and it all just springs from an odd name or an odd quirky thing that the character has.
And it never changes from that point on. You know, once it pops in, there's nothing that's going to change that.
Well, as everybody is probably aware by now, or at least the people that have ever seen me on stream before, they will know that I am perennially a paladin and have never played a bard. So it's going to be interesting for me to see a bard built from the ground up. Um,
Yeah.
so just some very quick housekeeping. Uh, Homebrew content we might as well turn off because we don't need it. But Magic the Gathering content, Eberron content. We're trying to make these characters as uh,
Standard.
standard. Yeah, I think it's probably a good word. So we're going to make them as standard as possible. You know, it's fine that we've got all these switched on. We're not going to use them. So Ontarias and straight onto the race. So what were we thinking for the race?
Uh, I was going with half elf to get that nice little bit of charisma. Half elf really does bring a lot to bards. There's you could also do tiefling if you're trying to really max out sort of the charisma side of bards, but I was thinking half elf for sure.
Okay. So that's going to give us with a dwarf, a half elf so far. So always good to be able to put one in. So we are currently a human. Let's change that. And let's jump in with a half elf. So a whole heap of different half elves that we can be.
Mm-hmm.
What are we thinking best for the bard?
Standard old traditional good boy half elf.
Hang on, just make sure I was on that. So just a traditional half elf. What are we thinking? Wood, half elf, standard,
Standard, good old standard.
good old standard. So ability score increase, that lovely charisma score increase, and two others by one. So we can start looking at dexterity or wisdom or something like that, just to give us those extra buffs. I think is
Yeah.
a great idea. Hey, ancestry, skill versatility. Yeah, this has just got bard written all over it, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So charisma by two. What else is gonna work well, or do you think it's worth setting everything up first, then coming back and buffing them?
We can go do it right now. Um, I was thinking, Constitution is always a good one to get just more health, more fun, less death. And we definitely want to avoid dying all the time. So
Mm-hmm.
Constitution definitely is going to be up there for that. Then after that, I was thinking either intelligence or dex. It's not. I don't need intelligence. Intelligence would just be trying to keep it from being a negative, just so that way I can have the most chance for any sort of saving throws or checks that I would need to make with intelligence. So I was thinking intelligence dex would be good for more AC, and there's a
Yeah.
whole slew of dex checks and dex saves in the game. So
Yeah. It's a difficult one, really. It's one of those things. But I suppose it depends on what you want to do with the bard. That I mean, a bard is never going to be a frontline character, no matter how much
yeah,
people want to be able to bash people over the heads with loots and um. So it kind of comes down to I think the dexterity. Are you thinking of going down the route of putting some archery in there for a little bit of offensive capability? Or is the
uh,
intention more to be sort of spellcaster based?
probably more spellcaster base. For sure. Where the dex would help me is like if I position myself horribly, like everyone does every now and then, can get help me get out of a sticky situation. Yeah, I'm torn between the intelligence and the dex. The intelligence really would just be to make it so I don't have a negative one. No one wants a negative one.
Should we just put it into intelligence? and then we can always come
Let's just
back
put it
and
in intelligence. Yeah.
yeah, we can always come back and change it later. To have a look at it. Dark vision we're going to get as a standard anyway. Fey ancestry, of course. Skill versatility. So that wonderful versatile skills that bards get. So, well, half elves get. So, what would we like to be able to do?
Right off the bat, persuasion. 100% right off the bat, persuasion. If you're playing the charisma, you got to be able to persuade. Uh, and having that little bit of extra proficiency is going to go a long way.
Yeah, we're still getting some feedback again from your microphone. I'm trying to figure out where it's from, but it seems to just sort of come and go. So we're going to try and push through it for a minute. But if it comes back again, or if it persists, we'll have a little look around. But I've only got certainly one audio feed coming in, so it's I think it's just something in the stream rather than. Do you want to try again? Just speak a little bit, see if it's.
Hello, I am speaking because I can speak.
um, yeah, I haven't got Twitch open or anything like that. I don't know where the feedback's coming from. I'm gonna have to have a fiddle about with it. But if it's not too distracting, we'll push through it and see if we can get through. So persuasion, definitely a skill that we're gonna want because persuasion is so useful. Not only in role playing situations, it's really useful for just a general thing to have.
Oh, yeah.
So second skill.
Let's see. I find in my history of playing that investigation comes up a lot. You're thrown into a room and you want to know something specific about the room. You're going to get asked to do an investigation check. There's just so many times where it's going to be needed, and I think having that proficiency in it, even without my intelligence being like high enough to make that really super useful, is still going to be coming up enough that I think it's worth it. And the bard gets so many different skill proficiencies throughout this whole thing that we're just picking what I think would be useful at this point.
Yeah, and I think it's quite good to go with, especially from the racial features standpoint. Sometimes when building a character, even if you sort of have a good idea of where that character is going to go, sometimes it's quite nice to think about something maybe outside of your class features that's just generically useful.
Mm-hmm.
It's at this point, especially with half elves or with humans who get the or human variants that get a similar thing.
Yeah,
I see people taking things like survival or sleight of hand or something that's just even if they're gonna possibly completely out of their comfort zone for their character, but it's something that fits with their backstory or it's something that fits with um, just general role playing. Like you said, like you always get asked to investigate things, and it's just knowing when and where to do that. So I think we'll pick
for
the
sure.
investigation. Languages.
I have a fun way at this point with my characters. If I don't really think of anything that I necessarily want specifically language wise for him, I just click the tab and then just scroll up and down real quick with the mouse and then click, and then that's my language.
Yeah.
So that's usually what I do. So we can do that, or I can. The other one I'd be thinking of is Sylvan, just playing into that half elf ancestry, just getting a little bit of that Sylvan in there could be possible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely something that we could that would be really useful. I mean, my dwarf is going to be speaking Celestial and probably a couple of other languages that I set up myself, which I should probably remember, but I can't right now. Um, as well as the Dwarvish. So yeah, just
Mm-hmm.
maybe just having some random languages would be quite useful. Sylvan's always a great one. If you
Yeah,
come across sort of spirits or um, other things of that nature. So, did I take demon? Oh, I did. That's right. I took demonic and infernal. That's right. I took infernal and abyssal. because of my
Oh,
backstory.
nice.
That's right. Yeah. I'm glad somebody was paying attention, Val. Thank you very much. I should probably know what my character can do by the time it gets to January. Class. So I think we all know where we're going. We're definitely going Bard.
Barbarian.
Barbarian. Absolutely.
Barbarian.
Barbarian. High charisma. You
Actually,
got.
I kind of wanted to put a level into 5 classes, if that's okay.
We'll just do one level in 5 classes.
One level and everything. It's fine. You know,
True, but
I just want to be able to do a little bit of everything.
one of those wandering bards that's kind of done a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So we've got spellcasting, we've got bardic inspiration, jack of all trades, and then we'll choose our college and all that kind of stuff. So it's great because, as I say, it's not something I've ever done before. Is built a bard. They're not really high on my list of things to play, so it's interesting to go through.
Yeah.
So proficiencies, 6 choices. I think the easiest thing to do is this.
Let's go. Let's go
gonna
ahead and get
build
him
level
level 5
5.
that real quick.
We're gonna build a level 5. Let's make a level 5.
Yeah.
So
Right.
proficiencies.
Proficiencies. Let's see. There's just so many.
So many instruments.
It's crazy.
Well, I think in honor of the fact that we're giving away a lord and ladyship of Scotland, I think bagpipes has got to be
Oh, for sure.
top of the
For sure.
list. So I think bagpipes has definitely got to be top of the list. What
And
do
then
we want to be?
you have to go with the classic lute. It has to be on there. If your lute's not on there, you're not a bard.
Definitely a lute. And then a final musical instrument. What can you remember from this list?
Let's see. Pull it down from real quick. I think we're gonna go with something super crazy and abstract for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole slew of them, and everyone knows the most common ones. How about some Longhorn? That sounds fun.
Oh, why not? That way, if we end up in the
Why
mountains,
not?
you can entertain the dwarf by playing the longhorn.
There you go.
Excellent. 3 absolutely non-conflicting, super easy to carry.
You just put the lute inside of the bagpipes, and then the bagpipes inside of the longhorn. It's not that hard.
Yep. Sounds about right. So back to skills. We get 3 skills to choose from because you're an absolute jack of all trades.
Kind of a beast. Let's see. So I think performance has to be on there. You know, you're a bard, you have to perform.
Absolutely. What else are we going to look at?
I always like to see if I can put some Arcana in there if I'm able to. Arcana.
I think that's really wise, considering
Yeah.
that we are a party trying to be as sort of diverse and generic as possible. With you being our real spellcaster, I appreciate I'm playing a cleric, but I treat divine magic as kind of living in its own world. You really are going to be our number one spellcaster, made sort of magic wielder. So having the ability to sort of do Arcana checks at a decent level, maybe figure out what is magically holding the door shut while the rest of us stand there and try knocking, would be quite useful.
Always.
Always useful.
And then for my last one, I think I want to go with perception. Being able to, because I'll usually be at the back of the group, being able to have that extra kind of sight of the whole group and the surroundings can help us not hit unwanted traps.
Yeah, I think that's a good plan. Now we've obviously got the rogue who's going to be able to sort of do a lot of trap finding for us, but having another person on lookout's probably a good idea, considering that I'm fairly certain we're going to have a barbarian and a cleric who are going to be walking around most of the time with their eyes shut. So it's probably a good idea that we have somebody who can actually figure out what is going on.
Yeah.
We don't need to worry too much about these. These are just all things we get. We get the Jack of all trades, which is lovely. If you've never played a bard, such as I, um, add half your proficiency bonus rounded down to any ability check. So why not?
Why not?
So, Bardic College.
So trying to keep it standard, kind of in the player's handbook really limits my options down to just two. And
Well,
you've got
I've said player's handbook, but I mean, as long as it's one of the official tomes, we're
yeah,
talking sort of Xanathar's, Tasha's, trying to make it not going off on the unearthed arcana or anything like that, just to
yeah.
really mess with people. But what were we thinking?
So utility wise, College of Lore has a lot. I think it's definitely the most well-rounded class of the bards. It makes it so you can really just play anything. If you've noticed your group's been lacking on the damage side, you can wake up the next morning and have have a little bit of a more offensive capabilities in your arsenal. Or if you think that you got offense covered, you can switch back to being more utility. I think the College of Lore really is the strongest pick for this group.
Yeah, I think I think you're pretty much right. To be honest, I can't think of anything better than, especially for this kind of a group, that having someone who is such an all-rounder coming from the College of Law. So yeah, I think that's a fine choice. College of War.
Of course, yeah, of course, College of War.
Okay. Just because we haven't got enough skill proficiencies, I think we need to choose a
Let's
couple
get
more.
more. But let's see. What else do we have here? Expertise.
So,
Performance.
what?
Let's really knock that performance out of the charts here.
Yeah. So this is something I didn't know, is that you actually double any ability check that uses for the chosen proficiencies. So it's only the ones that you've chosen
Mhm.
so far. So yeah, performance is yeah, you're just going to knock those out of the park and be
Mhm.
a true master of the craft. So that is a great start. And then we're left with Arcana, Investigation, Perception, and Persuasion.
Not deception. Oh no, I already got deception, didn't I?
Perception.
Perception.
Arcana,
Hmm.
Investigation, Perception, and Persuasion.
Persuasion's got to be then. You got to have that charisma. Uh, the bard is a charisma character.
So the interesting question here is, because the Bard is a charisma character, which means when we do the stats, we're probably going to bump the charisma up anyway. Is it worth buffing Arcana? Because we're going to be
Uh,
at a disadvantage anyway, based upon the fact that we haven't got like a pure spellcaster.
Intelligence. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if maybe that's a way to go.
It's possible. I think I think charisma would have more of a place in a larger variety of situations, like with persuasion and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, because it's just like all that role play is going to come in handy, and you could essentially take an entire encounter out of the question just with like a good deception or persuasion um, roles. So I think having that would benefit us the most. And with other proficiencies and everything that we still have left, we can definitely explore doing more Arcana to bring that intelligence weakness that we have up a little bit more.
Okay. So we're going with persuasion then. I think I
Yep.
think I think you've just proved your point by successfully persuading me that persuasion is the way to go. This is going to be good. I can see you're going to be a very good bard at persuasion. So we also gain proficiency with 3 skills of our choice, because why wouldn't we get 3 more? So, what other skills would we like to upgrade?
Looking at kind of like what we're missing right now, I think history is a good one. You never know when that comes up. That could give us some clues to a puzzle or anything that happens that we need with history.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think the ability, because this is going to be a one-shot campaign, such as it is, um, the ability for at least one of us to be able to sort of say, right, okay, I think you need to lore dump now. So could you, if we do a history roll, could you maybe tell us what we're supposed to already know?
Right, right.
Would be quite useful.
And to answer your question there, anything to do with strength is a big no-no for bards. So that is what they are not proficient in.
Yeah. So the great thing is there's very little here that is actually strength based, but
Mhm.
um,
We have a barbarian for that.
yeah.
Let's see. Deception. Deception is a good one to add a proficiency in. Another sort of charisma based thing that can get us out of many things.
Hmm. Yeah,
Would be a solid tool to have.
I've had many players use deception against my NPCs, witting or unwitting, and it's always really made for good role playing as well as good plot armor for the DM. It's
Mhm.
great when someone has deception because the DM can suddenly start wrapping things up in the wonderful plot armor just to keep everything moving. Which, especially for a group that's designed to be as streamlined as possible, that's a good place to go.
What do we have left here? I don't even know what we
Don't
have
even know what we got
left.
left. Acrobatics, animal handling, athletics, insight, intimidation, medicine, nature, religion, sleight of hand, stealth, and survival is about all we've got
Hmm.
left.
Would it need sleight of hand? Because we have a rogue. Um, hmm. Survival, maybe?
um, yeah, I'm pretty sure I took that as a the dwarf as well for that sort
Oh,
of
okay.
cleric sort of um, stoicness and generally looking after the campfire and making sure that everyone's well fed and all that kind of stuff was kind of my thinking behind that with the cleric. But I also took medicine. I think, do you know one thing that nobody ever takes but makes for some funny moments is animal handling. I
Oh,
think it's
of course.
such an underused skill. Yeah, Val makes a good point. There's absolutely nothing wrong with overlapping skills, and in a if we were doing a long campaign, I would absolutely agree with you that having people who
Yeah.
are proficient across the board in certain things is great. Um, but the idea with these characters is to make a group that kind of can sort of do a bit of everything, because then we're not limiting the DM by sort of saying, well, none of us have any proficiencies in this, and we're just going to sit here for the next 10 minutes and roll dice with continuing frustration until we figure out what the answer is. So
Mhm.
it's kind of the idea is to generally be as broad as possible.
I like the idea of having animal handling. I picture this character just like this cowboy bard, the best of the bards, the cowboy bard. So I think having animal handling would just fit.
I agree. And hey Crimson, welcome to the party. Do you know what as with most of my characters, I did give one of my paladins once animal handling just to sort of go for the St. Francis of Assisi, kind of walking around in a robe and just holding a squirrel. Never pulled it off, but it would have been nice if I could have done that. And because we're still not finished, because it's the fourth level, ability increase. Now, this is where, for a bard, I would normally say take a feat. Definitely go for a feat if you're a bard, because adding in some utter shenanigans. But in this instance, the intention is to sort of leave the feats, make the characters as generic as possible, sticking as
Mhm.
hard as possible to the guidelines. So I think we're going to go ability score, and of
For
course you
sure.
get to.
What better ability score improvement to put on a bard And charisma.
We always come back to charisma because it's a bard. That's who we're building, and that makes an awful lot of sense. It's the second one that was going to be interesting because I'm all for strength. Let's put him in the gym.
Let's put him in the gym, strong bard. You always have to ask you like, do you want smart bard? Do you want fast bard? Do you want strong bard? Do you want healthy bard? And I have been traumatized by not having health. So I think that I will go with Constitution just to give me that little bit more that could mean the difference between life and death.
As the official party healer, I can tell you that is an excellent idea. And the less I have to heal people, the better. Because I'm used to playing, as I say, a paladin, not a cleric. So
Just
it's
walk
gonna.
around toll the dead all day. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm used to just sort of going. Do you need 5 points? Maybe 5 points enough. There you go. Lay on hands. I'll do. Right. So that is our level 5 proficiencies all done. Now comes everybody's favourite bit. So, for those that are hell bent on rolling dice, I would normally, in fact, did a stream about it just on Monday actually about sort of rolling dice or point buying, where I extolled the virtues of point buy if I'm the DM and rolling it if I'm playing because I like chaos. But in this instance, the idea is to try and be as rounded as possible and as focused as possible for the DMs because they're only going to get one chance to shine, and we need to sort of give them some really good focal key points. So we're just going to go with a point buy, 27 points, make it nice and easy. We're going to build these characters to the pattern that we're after. So obviously, 15 strength.
15 strength.
15 strength straight off the
Um,
bat.
if we can go ahead and put that charisma at 20, that would be great.
Yep. So we're going to put that directly up to the top.
Almost there. So close.
Almost there. So total score is going to be an 18, which is off the chart anyway for a level 5. So we're pretty good as a starting base.
For
What
sure.
are we thinking next?
I would say let's get Constitution to a 13. That's going to give us the next kind of increase without putting too many points into it. Bring us to that 15.
Yeah, which is fantastic. It's going to do wonders for your health bar.
Oh yeah. And then after that, my priorities are definitely dexterity is the next one, just to get that much more AC. Even if it's one more AC, that's one more tick on the dice that they have to get to hit me. So.
So I think going up to a 12 gives us 9 points. We can always adjust it up if we need to, or maybe beef the Constitution. Still got 9 points, so where would you like to go next?
Let's get that intelligence up one more point, so that way it's not a negative. That was the only reason I chose intelligence, was to not have a negative intelligence. So that's the big one right there. That's next.
Yes.
Strength is the dump stat of all dump stats for a bard. But also wisdom is dump stats for a bard, especially when you have a cleric already who's got wisdom covered to a T.
Yes.
So I'm kind of torn. I feel like, do I think that having a 0 for strength or a -1 for strength would be better? Or do I think having a 0 for wisdom or a -1 for wisdom would be better?
I think Fowl makes a good point that wisdom is going to affect your perception.
That is true. Which I think that means that wisdom's got to go up to a 10.
I think you're probably right. So that's going to give us a 10, which is modifier, base modifiers. So you will get your perception bonus onto this when it comes to rolling for perception. We've still got 5 left. I mean, we can easily beef intelligence or wisdom, or we can up the dexterity a little bit. Because I think we're just going to be ignoring the strength, aren't we? To all
Yeah,
intents and
that's
purposes.
we're just gonna. There's always that part of it. Every time I make a character, no one wants to have a negative, but in the light of trying to make um, the best version of the bard that I can to make sure that we're not dying all the time, I think strength's just gonna have to stay down there at 8.
Yeah. Well, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, if we bump Constitution by 1,
Yep.
that's going to get us a lovely +3 modifier. That's huge um for a bard. I
Yep.
think taking our wisdom, intelligence up another 2 notches.
Or just one. You can put one more point in intelligence, would give it to 12, which would give
Yeah,
it that plus 1.
yeah.
And then I don't think we can get dexterity the next one.
We can get it to 13. We can't get it any higher than 13, and
Mm,
that's not going to give us anything. But Dex, I think we can probably bump intelligence all the way up to 13 if you wanted to.
yeah. Is that 2? I always forget when it comes to this.
Yeah, so
Little details.
that's going to give us a +2.
Yeah, that works. That'll cover.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So I think that's going to give us an interesting character to say the least.
Yeah.
You know, a bard that is not going to go down in round 2 is always going to be interesting.
It's a rare thing to have.
That certainly is. So, background. Again, trying to
There
stick
is
to sort of the ones from the books to give us a fighting chance for our DMs.
what is a bard but an entertainer. So
And
he has to be an entertainer. A bard is an entertainer. No, it
I
doesn't have to be. If you're building your own bard, you can do whatever you want with it.
Yeah, I think there's some really good ones in here. Like courtier is always good fun for a
Yeah,
bard. Um, there's also just a traveler, just a far traveler is a very interesting one to play. You don't get much in the way of like the bonuses and stuff, but if you're going for that sort of wise old sage, knows all the history, knows all the lore of the land and all that kind of stuff.
mm-hmm.
But if you're going to go for entertainer, of course, the first thing it's going to do is gives us more skill proficiency.
We always need more.
um, so we've got athletics, insight, intimidation, medicine, nature, religion, sleight of hand, stealth, and survival.
I think this character has traveled a good bit, and he's met a lot of people, and I feel like at this point he can get a sense for people just by looking at them. So I think insight is going to be a very useful tool for him.
Yep, that sounds like the sort of thing that you'd be able to do, to be able to read people and just sort of know what they're doing. You get another musical instrument.
Oh man, let's just do another wild one. Trying to think of them off the top of my head. Let's see.
So we've got pipes, drums, flutes, a dulcimer, which is an interesting choice. We've got some really off the wall choices. A Zolcoon. I don't think I've ever known any player take a Zolcoon.
Well, guess what? We're taking it.
Brilliant. So, by popular demand, is your background. I'll leave that up on the screen for a few minutes. People can take a quick look at it or go through. Is the drop down special on the stream? It does a weird thing where the stream doesn't actually pick it up. I don't know why. So I've been trying to sort of read them out if we need to.
Mm-hmm.
But I think most of us remember when you've been DMing for a long time and you've had players come to you with all sorts of crazy things, you tend to know them. But yeah,
Yeah,
for some reason it doesn't show up, and I haven't figured out why yet. With drop down boxes. So, some characteristics. Please choose two of these characteristics.
oh man. Number one, for sure. I know a story relevant to almost every situation. That is the bard. The bard is a traveling entertainer who regales people with stories and songs.
Yep, which is again really good for sort of role playing, and also it's something for the DMs to be able to use. Like if they can give you a bit of they can give you a bit of a story ahead of time and say, well, you're going to know what this is. So, it's good preparation. Helps to chop down a little bit of time in the stream. Anything else on there
For
that
sure.
takes your fancy?
I love a good insult, even one directed at me. Um, you gotta have the ability to sling them and take them all at the same time. Charisma
Which is,
is so important.
do you know, I had a character once who was uh the backstory for it was sort of like folksy wisdom,
Hmm.
and so I put out to everybody I knew to try and get as much sort of folksy wisdom as I could, and I had them all written down on the backside of my character sheet. And so at random points, to be honest, every time I know I didn't really have anything to say to the conversation, I would just turn it over and grab one of these things of folksy wisdom and just throw it out there.
Hmm.
I had a DM who was able to sort of work a few of them into sort of stories and things like that. So it's always good to do these things. It's a lot of fun. Um, would you like a flaw? I think that's. I could choose any of these two. Oh, okay, from the personality traits, but
Hmm.
yeah, you can pick any one of these as well. So, ideals, bonds, flaws, anything strike your fancy?
Let's see. Let's go up to the one more up there so I can see all those. Oh no, I can already see them. Never mind. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's been forever since I've chosen some of these. I always kind of weave it into my backstory. Oh man. I think I want to stay away from the ones that kind of do alignment.
Yep.
For now, at least, they feel kind of limiting whenever I try to pick from those right there, because it never really feels like it fits me.
Okay.
I feel like I can explain it more than they can explain it.
I think a bard needs a good flaw. I think there
Mm,
needs to be something tragically broken with somebody who's so sort of wrapped up in the arts, and it's the only way.
I think uh, I think number five, I have trouble keeping my true feelings hidden. My sharp tongue lands me in trouble. You know, it ties in with that. I love a good insult. If you do something stupid in front of me, I'm gonna call you out on it, and it's all in good fun. But if you can't take it, you can't take it, and that might
Yep.
get me in trouble.
I think that's good for a bard. I think heart on the sleeve bard is always a good trope to play. Like, just larger than life feelings are out there, as likely to call you an idiot as give you a hug. And I think that's
Mhm.
I think that's great for a bard. Uh, there are some character details down here. So alignment, again, it's completely up to you. We're not forcing alignments in this campaign, because it's completely up to the DM what they want to do. If they want to
Mhm.
run an evil one shot, great. So I don't think
I'm
we're going to
down.
worry too much about that. Lifestyle, however, as a travelling entertainer, what's your general expenses?
Oh man, let's see. Read those off to me real quick. I can't see
So,
that list.
wretched, which is nothing; squalid, which is a silver piece; poor, which is two silver pieces; modest, a gold; comfortable, 2 gold; wealthy, 4 gold; and aristocratic, 10 gold minimum.
I think keeping in with the mind that he's just like this cowboy bard. I think living just a modest lifestyle. If it's the bards are you usually see them sit collecting gold from telling the stories and all this stuff, but and trying to live in extravagance. But I think just an old man, not really an old man, but an old man sitting in the corner telling stories, having a good time, a couple drinks with his friends, fits that modest lifestyle a lot.
I like it. I like the modest lifestyle. I think it's the right thing. And welcome, Zoe Mari. Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. I hope the you like the character that gets born. I'm certainly enjoying it. It's the first time I've ever seen or built a bard before with anyone. So it's quite interesting to see just how many proficiencies they get.
It's insane.
It's a lot. But yeah, I like that idea of a modest lifestyle. Sort of, it's not quite living hand to mouth like day to day, but it's you're relying mostly on your talents to be able to get you
Mhm.
the drink and the free accommodation and that kind of thing, rather than sort of just paying for everything or sleeping in a barn, which kind of
Yeah.
fits. Physical characteristics we don't really care about for this campaign because it's meaningless. Will be whatever the DMs need us to be, so that's nice and easy. Personality traits we've already covered, and the notes again we don't really have much to do with that. That's going to be the DMs if they want to throw anything on us, if they want to change anything about us. That's great because we're there to suit their needs so that they can tell a good story in the time they
Yeah.
have with us. The rest of us have been going well. I certainly went just for equipment, but it's kind of up to you.
Yeah, equipment's just the way to go,
Yeah. So what are we
Unless you
thinking?
unless you just have your ideas of like I want this, this, and this, but that's like a campaign thing. When you get gold, we're not doing a campaign. We're just got what we got. Um,
Absolutely.
I just love the rapier as a weapon. It's so good. It like every game that I've played, like video games or anything that has a rapier, is always just such a solid pick. Um, Always does so well.
I have loved the rapier ever since reading the book, um, The Long Patrol, as a kid, and it being the mainstay sort of light weapon of the hares. And if anybody hasn't read them, the Red War books, just sit down, spend an afternoon reading one. They're absolutely fantastic. But yeah, I've been in love with the the rapier ever since. Uh, I think we're going entertainer rather than the
Diplomat,
diplomat.
what are you talking about? It has to be the diplomat.
Oh, it's good. So entertainers pack, 2 costumes, 5 candles. Yep, seems about right.
That's right.
A loot or any other. No, if you are proficient in the loot, so
Yeah,
it's kind of
I
up to
think
you
we're
whether you
doing a
take it.
loot.
Yeah,
You gotta do the loot. Loot's
gotta do the
there.
loot. Leather arm and a dagger. We get an additional musical instrument. So would you like one of the ones that you are proficient in?
Let's see. Do I choose the what was it called? The Z one.
Oh, I think we go with the Zolcoon.
Zalkun. I don't even hold. Let me. What is a Zalkun? Let me
Should
look
we
that
find
up
out?
real quick.
We'll find out. Hang on,
Zalkun.
hang on. Let's do this.
Oh,
Apparently, this is a Zolcoon. So, leg bagpipes.
leg bagpipes. I
I think
guess I
that's
have a Zalkun. I
I
guess
think
that's
that's
what
gotta
I
be.
have.
I think that's got to be a Zolcoon. Yeah, portable organ pipe. Yeah, it's kind of like a leg bagpipes. Uh, I think it's Celtic in its origin, but I could be wrong.
It's interesting.
Um, what would you like? A love letter, a lock of hair, something traditionally bardic?
Uh, I always think a lock of hair is just creepy, so I'm more attuned to do a love letter than a lock of hair.
Excellent. And I think the love letter as well. It gives the DM something to think about. It gives them
Mhm.
a nice plot hook that would definitely. I mean, we're definitely going to go with a plot hook anyway, regardless of what we get. Um, but it's nice to give them as much of an option as possible.
Yeah.
I'll give you that gold because that's probably what you earned in the last couple of nights. So there we go. All set up with starting equipment, all set up and ready to go. And so I think the only thing we've got left, I'll dismiss that because that's
Saluting
already
this
alive.
monstrosity.
I think what I might need to do is just
Look at those
scale this a little bit.
efficiencies.
So I'm just going to scale this a little bit so that we've got the ability to see everything. But yes, look at those proficiency.
I like that idea, Zoe Murray. That sounds amazing.
So there we go.
A
Let's
love
just leave
letter
that there for the
that's
minute.
a love letter that I think is a love letter, but it's a threatening note that's written really poorly. That's amazing. I love that.
Love letter the bard thinks a love letter is a threatening note. Because you love insults so much. That is utterly genius. And I think if a DM
check out those skill proficiencies though. It's a beautiful
deception
sight.
deception +7.
10 to my performance and persuasion. Oh,
Yes,
God,
maxed
I
out
love it.
maxed out at level 5. I think the one thing that people can't see on the stream, because I've slightly hidden it, because I wanted to be the big reveal, is this.
Ooh. Ooh. I bet you've never seen a tanky bard before.
So for anyone
It
who
is.
hasn't seen a tank bard before, that is how you build a tank bard.
The tank bard. Did I need to
um,
build a tank bard? No. I just did.
that is properly impressive. The armor class, not so much.
Yeah, that's a bit sad. I don't like that.
But there's a reason for that. And the reason for that is we need to do this. Which is, so when you're building a character on D&D Beyond, you do need to go in and actually equip things before it works out your full armor class. But still, that didn't really help very much.
Never does.
But I think
That's that level 1 armor class right there, man. That hurts. It hurts.
That does hurt. But then you should never be in combat. Like if you're getting hand-to-hand combat,
That's not our barbarian.
drastically wrong. So
that's either my fault or the barbarian's fault.
So what we do have is a whole lot of spell slots and a whole lot of abilities to put some spells in. And one thing I do need to do is give us a little bit more space on this side. And remove some of this. And then bump this up. So we've got the ability for everyone to enjoy you building up some spells. So what are we thinking?
There's the fun stuff.
The absolute
always
fun
got to
stuff.
start with the.
So I think
Always got to start with the cantrips.
3 cantrips is what we have access to.
Yep. Blade Ward is good. Not necessarily what I want when it comes to supporting the team. That's more of a me thing,
Yeah.
which isn't terrible. If I find myself targeted by a DM who likes to target bards who are tanky for unknown reasons, who would ever know why? I could use that, but I think we don't. We're gonna pass on the Blade Ward. Same thing for the Dancing Lights. It's more of a party trick than anything else.
Yeah.
Never
So
really helps that much. Friends is like charm without the friendliness of the charm afterwards. If you really want someone to hate you after you cast the spell on them, then use it on them.
it just
But it can help.
Seems a bit pointless when you have a +10 to persuasion.
Yeah. But it is very helpful when you have someone who's already a hostile enemy to you to just cast Prince on them, to give you that advantage to make them not do things you don't want them to do. Um, friends definitely isn't Friends definitely isn't something you want to use on an actual friend, because they will hate you from that point on. But
Yep.
I think I'm going to pick it up because the aspect of using it in combat versus a enemy is nice when I have such high charisma to
Yeah,
make
do you
them
know
do
what?
things.
I think it really feeds into that sort of insulting and sort of joking around that you kind of go
Mm.
for with this bard. So I'm a big fan of that. Um, I think if we're going for flavour, I don't think we can go too wrong with vicious mockery.
Oh, you always need vicious mockery.
Again, feeding into this insulting, throwing around left, right, and centre,
Hmm.
which leaves the last one. So
I love the utility that comes with minor illusion.
it
Um,
is brilliant.
it There's just so many possibilities. You could be in so many different situations and just pop out a minor illusion that can get buy you some time, buy you a whole bunch of different things. It's just such a good spell.
It is. I think it's always a toss up for me between Minor Illusion and Mage Hand as being one of the best cantrips in the game for
Mhm.
utility outside and potentially inside of combat as well.
Yeah,
Like there's so many situations where things like Mage Hand where we need to pull this lever or we need to, you know, move this particular thing. You just cantrip Mage Hand. And the DM is left
for
stood
sure.
there going, "Oh, I thought I'd cut you off and trapped you." But no, that happens. You've successfully done what you needed to do without ever actually moving. But yeah, I think Minor Illusions are a great fit, and it's one of those wonderful spells that just, yeah, again, has so many uses.
Mhm.
So, first, second, and thirds. Want to start high or do you want to start low?
We'll start low.
We'll start low. So we've got known spells
Actually,
8.
let's start high
Let's start
because we
high.
only got two of those. So let's start high.
Yes.
Um, Looking at this list of things, some stuff that's sticks out to me would be bestow curse. Bestow curse is a good one.
It
Um,
is.
Dispel magic is a good one that helps a lot of different situations.
Yep.
Fear is a solid one too. And then you have let's see, major image, which is like minor image, but even better.
It is. It's a very, and again, a very underutilized spell. I think, especially maybe more for the game groups that I DM for. But it's not
Mhm.
something that a lot of people take, in my
Yeah.
experience.
Some more options in third level would be motivational speech, really get that utility helping your characters, your teams.
Hmm.
Um, Other than that, there's not much more that's super useful when you're trying to be the most support that you can, or even a little bit of flex that you can as well. Because I'm not just a support. It's kind of like support, and also I can like throw out some damage here or there when it's needed. Um, I think what I'm feeling for this third level choices here, I think I'm going to go with bestow curse.
Yeah, I think that's a solid choice, and I think considering the build that we're going for, which is kind of the debuffing, little bit of crowd control, a little bit of sort of
Mhm.
um back line, I think that's a great choice.
For
What
sure.
else? What else are we thinking?
I think that's it for my third levels. I think there's a lot of utility
Hmm.
on the first and second level spells that would fit more with my other seven spells that I need to choose
Absolutely.
here.
And I think
Um,
that's a good thing to point out to people is that sometimes it's better to leave the slots open for an upcast.
mhm.
And some of the lower level spells when you upcast them just, yeah.
They scale phenomenally. Um,
So second levels.
Let's
Or
see.
do you want to look at first levels? No, I think second levels would be good. Here we go.
Second level's good. Going down that list, I would say that some of your good ones are heat metal. Heat metal is fantastic when you use it just so perfectly. It really just drops your stuff. It like you could just completely take an enemy out of the fight if all he's got is a sword, and you just say, "Hey, drop that. You're done. That's it." And if he doesn't want to drop it, he's just going to keep taking a lot of damage.
Yep. Always,
I had
always, always a
I had
great
a
spell.
moment when I was DMing a one shot where I had a guy in a big metal construct, and I did not know that one of my players, had heat metal, and he was ejected out of said construct, or else he would have died. And then him alone was not very strong, so he just got completely wrecked in about 3 turns. Uh, so that's such a solid pick. Whole person's also a very good pick. You really can just again take someone out of the fight completely, um,
Yep.
or don't let them get away. A lot of people will run, and you don't want them to run. You want them to die, or you want to take them alive to question.
That is true, and I think again going down the sort of thoughts of um range, crowd control. I think these are they're brilliant. But I think it's one or the other. I think because what we've got potentially a barbarian and an assassin who are going to be able to really sort of focus in on one character and make sure they're dead.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be up to the cleric and the bard to try and keep the hordes at bay
Yeah,
should they arrive. So it's trying to think if there's any other things on here that would actually do. I mean, you can't knock Zone of Truth for role playing and for general sort
yeah,
of utility, but it's trying to think of things that are gonna. I mean, that's an awesome spell.
and in line with yeah, that is a very good spell. Cloud of Daggers, also Shatter. Shatter is amazing. Um,
Yes.
Shatter is just an instant, hey, don't exist anymore, please.
Yep.
Um, and that's got some AoE on it too. That I think that's like my go-to AoE spell here. It's just a big old ball of ow that hurt.
Yeah, and I totally agree, and I think having maybe some AOE, bit of range, um, bring the pain kind of spells
Mm-hmm.
is really going to assist us and allow the DMs a bit more flexibility to sort of, okay, I want to flex my muscles a little bit and maybe run 5, 6, 7 characters in a fight. And we have the ability to deal with that then,
Yeah,
rather than just TPK, end of stream, thanks very much, good night. Which I'm sure is going to happen at least once due to quite potentially my party stupidity. So
so I think we're gonna pick up Shatter. Shatter's a good, solid
absolutely.
choice. And another thing you really got to keep in mind too when it comes to picking spells for Bard is that so many of them are concentration. You
Yes.
can only have one concentration out, and then if you use a spell that's concentration, then you use a different spell that concentration is broken, and it's a game of trying to play around with that limitation.
Yeah.
Which that Constitution is going to help me out a lot because now I'm not going to lose my concentration as easy.
Yeah,
Let's
which
see
is
some of
another great way to do it. Really, it's another something I didn't really
yeah,
think about was having
yeah.
having a decent amount of constitution is gonna allow you to keep those concentration spells up, which could potentially be the difference. There's a lot of things. I know there's a lot of chat with people who play wizards a lot and spellcasters a lot, where they sort of they get down on the whole constitution saving throw for concentration spells.
Mhm.
So it'd be interesting to see a character that's kind of been built to deal with that.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, what any more that we're thinking? So far we've got Shatter at the second level.
Shatter. Heat metal, I think I really want to pick up. It's just such a useful spell. It's something I really could get a lot of mileage out of.
Yeah, I agree. So we're up to 3 of 8. I think we can easily get away with one more second level
Yeah.
before dropping down to the first.
What do we think
Um,
here? Cloud of Daggers is a good one.
I think this spell is ridiculously underused. Um, I know I said about a targeting, like a single target spell, but this is the sort of way where you can um, certainly grab one of their characters, make them fight the others,
Mhm.
which is
Yeah.
going to be interesting. And I've just noticed in chat we've got a couple of new people here that don't sort of joined us, and it's great to have you here, guys. And I'm sort of reading Fowl doing his usual superb job of managing other people, other people's streams for us, which is always excellent. He is a true warrior when it comes to the chats and keeping everything alive. So the purpose of this game is we're a party of four trying to make them as balanced as possible. Uh, because what's going to happen is each week we're going to have a brand new DM who's going to turn up and DM a one shot. So we sit around a fire, a portal appears above the fire, we jump in, and it teleports us to wherever the DM needs us to start this one shot. A one shot, again, there's been a few sort of questions up here about what a one shot is. It's a timed game. It lasts for exactly one session, however long that one session is. So we're looking at ours to be around about 2 hours, because there's no need to sort of introduce the characters, because the character is always going to stay the same. We're always going to be brand new, fresh, ready to go, and just approach the game as a brand new um, entity. So from there, a one shot is can follow kind of any format really. I mean, Colin has also run a lot. I've run quite a few on Voidcast on their parallel projections, whole host of different game systems. But it tends to follow the sort of format of there will be a single quest that you need to do. That's usually then broken down into some sort of storytelling format. You might use
Mhm.
a 1-2-1 kind of scenario. You might use a 1-2-3-2-1 or something similar. What that means is that there will be a hook, something that gets you into the adventure. Then there will be something that happens. So let's say a puzzle that you need to solve to be able to follow it through, and then there will usually then be a some sort of conclusion. You find the magical object and something happens, or you find the necromancer's lair and destroy the evil necromancer. If you've played um, sort of video game RPGs, think of it like a side quest in a giant story where someone walks up to you in a tavern and says, "Hey, my sister's missing. If you find her, I'll give you 500 gold. She was last seen in this place." And so you go there, you find that there's a big well, you jump down the well, you find she's, been taken by a troll. You go off, battle the troll, save her, and go and get your 500 gold. I think that's a pretty fair assessment.
Mhm.
Yep, I think that's a fair assessment. So that's kind of the whole purpose of this game. And then what we do is we're going to score them. So Colin is a long time DM. I'm a long time DM. We have Crimson, who is another very long time DM, and then in chat at the moment you can see him there, Carnal, who is another long time player, very experienced when it comes to D&D. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be scoring the DMs out of 10 in a couple of key criteria areas, and then the chat is also going to score the DM on whether or not they enjoyed it and liked it and had fun. Um, the top scoring DMs then go into the final, so there'll be four of them going through, where they get handed one of our players at random. So one of our characters will be handed to them at random. They have to play the characters and be DM'd by somebody that is yet to be determined. It might be one of us. It might be an independent from one of our other stream platforms that we sort of know people on. And the winner will receive it's already been paid for. It's already been done. I've got the certificates sat with me now. So it'll be a square foot of land in Scotland for the winner, who then is able to call themselves officially a lord and lady or lady for life. So that's the prize. The grand prize for this is it's a DM contest, and the winner becomes an official lord or lady of Scotland for the rest of their lives. How well the DMs know their PC's backstories. See, that's interesting because it kind of doesn't matter. The whole point of this is that the DMs can make up the backstories if they need it to. We've left them very, very open and generic as we've been building. So there's no details in there. There's no, Colin, for instance, has a love letter that you've picked up.
Mhm.
And that love letter can be from anybody. So if the DM suddenly decides that it's the Baroness von something from this place, somewhere in Ravenloft, brilliant. But then the next week, another DM might have also read it, picked up on it, and said, actually, it's going to be a peasant girl from this farm. Backstories keep cave. Yes, so the backstories can change even though they're the same character, because it's not the characters that matter. It's the DM's story that matters in this campaign in game. So I appreciate it is completely left field for a lot of people to kind of get their heads around. That
Really
it's
test your chops and being able to just go with it. You know, like
yeah,
one week I could be the prince of some place, so I have to act like a noble, like a selfish little noble dude, or the next week I'm just like a poor traveling guy that's having a good time in life, or not having a good time in life. You know, it's really just whatever the DM wants his story to be.
yeah, and that's fine. That's fine, Zoe. Honestly, the more questions that people ask, the happier we are to sit and explain everything, because we appreciate that it's going to be very, very different from the standard game where it's kind of you turn up on Twitch, you watch a couple of sessions, you start to learn the characters, and you start to see the growth and the change and all that kind of stuff. This really is a competition. I would make an amazing Baroness. You are absolutely right. I certainly have the hair for it. Um, but yeah, it's not about that, and actually, it's kind of very freeing for the players, and very freeing for the DMs because they don't have to sort of keep this game going and try to think about character growth and stuff like that. It's just about telling an awesome story and seeing what happens. And the idea for us as players is to try and be as straight as possible. So, we follow every plot hook. We talk to the guy that he's expecting us to talk to. We, if there is a cave entrance that suddenly appears, we're not just going to look at it and say, well, let's not go there. Let's go to the local town and start gambling.
Mhm.
We're actually going to follow the story. Um, and it just means then that if people miss an episode or they can't watch one, it's not going to matter too much because you're just there to see one awesome story, and then 2 weeks time you'll see another one and join in and vote and get off with it. Yeah, very different about that. The idea isn't to create things for the DM to exploit. We're just making little openings which the DM then can take and run with, or they can just leave it alone and pick up one of the other characters. So that one DM might completely ignore our characters and say, "I'm going to focus only on the barbarian," and this is purely for the barbarian. He's going to be the main character, and everyone else is just going to be a support character in this story, and we are absolutely fine with that because it means that we have little to do. The barbarian can do everything. We'll just stand at the back and look pretty for a session. So it really is sort of looking at, and it should give a lot of people sort of an insight into how other people DM and play the game. Because as everyone says with this, there's no correct way to play D&D. There's whatever way you have is the correct way, as far as anybody I know and anybody I care about is concerned. So yeah, it should be interesting. And I've completely forgotten what we were doing because I started jumping on my soapbox.
Spells, spells, spells,
Spells is what we
spells.
were doing.
So if I were to go against Crown of Madness here, it is a very good spell and it really can
Mm-hmm.
turn a group of enemies into just one enemy.
Yes,
Um, but the thing that makes me not want to take it is you have to use your action every turn to keep it going.
that is
Um,
true.
which could be good, could be bad. Like let's say I've got Crown of Madness on this guy over here, and then all of a sudden this guy's in my face, and I no longer can do anything about him because I'm trying to make sure he's still doing things. So I'm now getting hit by this guy, and I'm stuck with this situation.
Yep.
So I would probably go against it for this one.
The other question is, do we want a second bit of healing?
Um, I don't know. I think it would be better to have just like the cleric be the guy doing all the healing. That way I can really focus all my spell slots on the active buffs, debuffs, and support, and possibly damage as well whenever it needs to be done.
Okay. So what do you think? Final spell. Well, it doesn't have to be the final second level spell, but I think it would give you a good spread of first level if we just take
Yeah,
one more.
let's go up to first. We'll come back down to second if we got one left over.
Zoe, if the cleric goes down first, we pray to God that the barbarian's rage keeps him alive long enough that
Yep.
somebody can get to me.
Get to him, throw a healing potion down his throat. That's all you got to do.
So what we're thinking. Sorry, I missed that because I was trying to
Yeah.
be interactive.
Let's check out the first level spells real quick, and
Okay,
we'll revisit second level.
might come back.
Might come back, might not. We'll see. There's a lot of good first level spells for the bard.
Oh, I love this. I love this spell. It's so much fun. But again, concentration. Like there's so many concentration spells here.
Concentrations, so many concentrations, and it's just going to get more. We're just going to keep getting more. Right off the bat, Tasha's hideous laughter has to be on that list.
Oh,
It's
so good.
such a good spell.
So
It's
good.
literally just a solid. Just you are no longer allowed to play in this game. That's all it is. It's like that person is gone,
Yep.
unless they're stupid. Unless they have an intelligence score of less than 4, then
They're actually
maybe then they get to keep doing it. They're immune to it.
too stupid to understand the joke, which
Yeah.
which I think's great. It's the prone. That's what does it with this spell.
Oh yeah.
Being prone is just death in fifth edition. The advantages to hit is just it's a nightmare, and incapacitated as well, which is
Mhm.
crazy. So yeah, I think we're gonna definitely go with this because it's a
It's
great
definitely one of
spell.
those ones where it's just like, hey, this guy's hit with it, and then you save because every time he gets damage, he can try to get out of it. So you just save that really big heavy hit for as soon as that spell goes off, and hopefully he stays in the spell. But if not, you just did a lot of damage.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna make a plea here for detect magic, and the reason I'm gonna do that is because you are our spellcaster.
Yeah,
So where it would normally go to sort of the wizard or the sorcerer or something like that, I think we're going to need somebody who can actually find magical stuff for us.
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll definitely put that on.
I think that's definitely going on the list. Disguise self, not really so important. I mean, you've got disguise kit, you've got so many buffs
Yeah,
to your thing. I don't think it's really worth it. You can get away with it with just your deception is +7. I think we can probably
um,
live with that.
Fairy Fire. Fairy Fire is a really good spell.
Oh
Has a
yes.
lot of utility. It can hurt us, but uh, fact that we have a barbarian is what makes it even better because fairy fire is going to make it so whoever's in that box, friendly or not, is going to be taken advantage on their attacks against them. Right?
Yeah.
Um,
And
the
that's it.
barbarian, the barbarian is already going to have advantages against him whenever if he's doing reckless. It's going to have advantages be taken against him already. So it's just going to be now this barbarian who's reckless attacking is going to be doing advantage rolls against anyone they see.
Yeah,
Um, it makes it
absolutely.
so good.
And it combos so well with that, and just with rage in general, it combos so
Yeah,
well because the ability for the barbarian to just stand toe to toe with somebody who might possibly beat them in a straight up fight, you're just giving them that extra little bit of an edge, which
Mhm.
is just so good. Um,
Uh, how do you feel about sleep?
I mean, I love sleep. Um, it's a great spell. I just think it's situational at best. It's one of those things where working out the dice roll as a DM is a pain, but I'm a player
Yeah.
this time, so I'm sort of I've I've only seen it cast effectively at the third level,
Yeah.
like upcasting it to third, where you're talking you get the additional 4d8 to get the additional points to be able to start putting more and more people to sleep.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. It does feed into the whole um, uh, crowd control, which I like.
Yeah.
And you have that ability starting at the fifth level to be able to upcast it.
Hmm.
Rolling a centaur is a surefire way. Yep, yep. I've been in that campaign, and a minotaur as well. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, if you want to go with it, yeah. And I
I
mean,
think so.
undead being immune. I'm a life cleric.
Yeah, we have
It's not
someone
gonna
that
matter.
specifically says no intent. So
Let's
I
go.
think sleep is one we're gonna take here.
I think yeah. So I think well, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we can probably get away with either one more good first level or go back to a second and see if there's one there that we can pick up.
Let's
But
see what.
I'm still pretty sold on at least one person being able to cure wounds that isn't me.
Yeah, we can grab it. That's fine.
I think it's sensible,
Yeah,
just to try and keep us alive as possible for as long as possible. Um, I think is definitely the way forward.
for sure.
So outside of that, I believe that is the character.
That is the character.
So there we go. I'll slide this back a little bit so that's open that up again so everyone can see the majestic glory of plus
Of
tens
that,
at level 5, which is what happens
there's
apparently
not.
if you build a generic bard.
Yeah,
Wow.
as you can see, there's not a single skill that I'm not at least half proficient in,
Athletics.
which is crazy. Athletics? No, I'm half proficient in athletics too.
Oh,
Oh wait, or am
because
I not?
no,
Yeah, because
because
I have the
you're
-1.
-1. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so I've got everything. It's fun. It's fun stuff.
yeah, that is
Bards
a
are
hell of a
crazy.
stat line. Um, just to put that into a bit of perspective, I think it's worth just putting this into perspective against one of the other characters. So the only other ones that we've actually built, if I go to my campaigns, you'll see now just how much I do run as a DM. Um, so this is the only other character we've actually built properly, um, as part of the campaign. And just to kind of put that into perspective, there's a lot of zeros on this list. And of course, disadvantage on stealth because, dwarf in chainmail.
Hmm.
Um, but the interesting thing, and this is where it gets really interesting. I am a dwarf cleric.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But
So
hey, you got that 17 armor class. That is nothing to ignore.
that is true, but a lot of that comes from if I go into my inventory, a lot of that comes from the scale mail and shield
Yeah.
rather than any sort of proficiency on my part. Although I did bang a fair amount into Constitution, so that just goes to show that sometimes knowing what you're doing, like at the build stage, really can affect how your character is going to play. So that's going to be really really interesting to see as it goes through um the weeks with the different DMs, how they kind of manage that, which will be interesting. Yeah, 17 AC for the dwarf cleric, but
He's
again,
he's correct.
I'm not really going to be much of a frontline fighter. I'm kind of leaving that to the barbarian and the rogue. Um,
You'll protect me. That's what you'll do. You'll be my frontline fighter.
yeah, the front of the back. There we go. I'm a
The front of the back.
solid second level. I'll be yep, solid linebacker. That'll do me. So that was, and I can jump back to this. That was the building of of our bard spellcaster character for the Fireside portal. So we've got two more builds to do. I think Carnal's going to be building tomorrow. Is that correct? He is in chat, so I can hopefully find out. I believe we're doing it tomorrow to try and get them up on here as fast as possible, so that we've got material for the DMs to work with. Hopefully he'll let me know in a minute. And then I think we're going to be building with Crimson next week, doing a barbarian. Tomorrow, it is tomorrow with Carnal. And that'll be a rogue, and we're thinking of going down the assassin route. Yeah, 3 p.m. EST, that's right. So I think we're going down the assassin route, which is going to be fairly fun. Again, not something I'm overly familiar with on that route. So guys, if you've got any questions at all, now would be a great time to throw them in. But we're going to look at winding up the stream in the next couple of minutes, because for you wonderful people in the Americas, it is not too late. For myself, it's starting to get towards 11:30 at night. Now, it's not going to be an issue for the game. The game is going to be Friday nights, starting late January, and it's going to be Friday nights starting at, I believe, 7 p.m. EST. So we're going to be looking at midnight plus for myself on a Friday night, but that's okay. I've shifted stuff around for that, so it's going to be on at a good time. Another thing to look out for, I'm going to be running in this slot actually on a Wednesday, a little bit earlier than this program time. Sorry, no, at this program time, it's for you guys. I'm looking at my own clock. I'm going to be doing a bedtime story, D&D themed, for sort of younger kids. So if you've got kids, you've got people who know you've got kids, let them know that they can actually sit down with them, watch a proper Twitch stream, get people interested in Twitch streaming and how it works, and in a nice safe environment. And it'll be me doing a fireside chat and just coming up with a story on the fly with what people say in chat, because that's basically what a dungeon master does. So
Yeah.
I get to do a little bit of that, which should be a lot of fun, and I'll be starting that, I think, probably next week, if not the week after. So yeah, look out for us on all of the platforms, and I'm going to throw this in there again. There's the link to our link tree. So that has our TikTok, which I discovered this afternoon for the first time, Twitch, which you're on, so don't worry about that. It's also got our Discord and the Twitter and everything else, Instagram. So we've got some amazing art from Vix Draws, always being dropped in, because she's doing all the art for us. And yeah, thanks very much, guys. If there's no other questions, thank you for dropping by, Zoe. It was great to see you. I hope to see you hanging about for when we start the actual games, and you get to see a bit of the sort of different dungeon masters and different styles, and the way that this game can be played in some very, probably some odd ways, knowing the sorts of people that are likely to apply for something like this. So any last thoughts, Colin, before we go?
I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good time. I look forward to seeing all the different DMs that can bring their skills to the table.
Yeah, I'm really looking to learn. I'll be honest, that there was a bit of a thing about this about myself and Crimson just being able to learn from other people, because it's nice to be
Mm.
able to sort of see how other DMs manage a game and run a game and what ideas they bring, and then use that in our own sort of ongoing long slog campaigns just to
Mhm.
sort of keep everything fresh, because it's always good to learn. So that's pretty much our time, guys. So thank you very much for turning up. It's always great to have people in chat asking questions and throwing stuff out. We're doing another build tomorrow, 3 p.m. EST. That'll be myself and Carnal, who's been in chat. And other than that, we'll see you on the other side. So thank you very much.